Welcome to another episode of Real BMX Racing, the podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Wrenchman Wheel Builds, Wrenchman Racing, Recycles Bike Shop, Eddie Block Starting Blocks, 110% Nutrition, Extreme Squared, Artistic Apparel, with a special shout out to Toby Henderson over there at Box Components. Today we have the owner of Extreme Squared Racing, and he's also a rider, Tony Stillinger, with the face of the team, 5 times NAG #1, 6 times Rock Champion, 5 times Grand Winner, and he has also won over 80 nationals from the year of 2016. We are talking about none other than Renato Silva. Yeah, so let's start it off with you, Tony, and let's go back to how you got into BMX, because that's where it all really started, right? You on a bike, on a track, you know?
Yeah, so I know y'all are located in North Carolina, and that's actually where I'm from. I'm originally from Greensboro.
Okay.
And as a kid, like a lot of kids back in the 70s, Evel Knievel was my hero. And so I started off jumping ramps and building ramps and riding bicycles, just imitating Evel Knievel. In BMX, right, it started off with guys on bikes imitating motocross guys.
Yep.
So I learned that there was a track in Greensboro. It's no longer there. It used to be at the YMCA camp, and I went there and started racing, and I raced from age of 13 until consistently 15. I raced a few times when I was 16. But
so what years are we talking?
That would have been around 81 to 84.
Early, nice.
Yeah. And then I didn't race again until 2 years ago. So I took like a 37-year hiatus from it. Although I didn't race for those 37 years. I would pick up the magazines back when they were still available, and occasionally, and then when the internet came up, there was BMX Mania. That was one of the websites I'd run across, and kind of kept up with the sport that way. And so yeah, that's what I did. And then about a little over 2 years ago, my son decided he wanted to race, and that's kind of how I got back into it.
And I mean, what sparked his interest? Did he just come to you one day and say, "Dad, I want to race BMX"? Did you tell him about your past?
Well, he knew about he knew about my past. In fact, I took him when he was 6 years old to Peachtree City.
Okay.
And he raced once, he wrecked, and it scared him, and he said he would never do it again. And in fact, a year prior to him deciding he wanted to race, he even wrote a paper about his experience, and got an A+ on that paper. But
really,
and the paper was about how he would never race BMX. And then, so we were at lunch one day. It was several of us, and just out of the blue, he said, "Dad, I think I'd like to try BMX." And I don't even know if he knows where that came from, but it happened. And as soon as he said it, I was out trying to find him a bike.
You're like, yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you immediately get a bike, or did you just watch him race a couple of times and then you got the bug again, or how did that all work?
Well, so I didn't get a bike. I was planning on just watching him, and I didn't really even know what to do. I say that because the tracks have changed so much, and the technology has changed so much. The only thing I really knew how to do was balance on the gate compared to what I did as a kid. Everything else was different. So, but as I mentioned, I kind of kept up with the sport, and it was actually my son's second race, and Renato was standing behind us. And I told my wife, I said, "That guy behind us, Renato," I said, "he's really good. I've seen where he wins." And I said, "I know he coaches." And I said, "I think maybe he could help Brant out where I can't." So that's kind of what I did. My next step was to go over and introduce myself to Renato and see if he was interested in training Brant and teaching him something. And then it was probably 2 months later that Brant really wanted me to do the sport with him. So that's kind of when I picked up a bike and went out, about to kill myself the first race. Thought I was going to die. And
was that
so
on the 20-inch?
I was on the 20-inch. It was actually a Gold Cup race. There was 3 of us. So I was guaranteed a third, which I got. But, yeah.
I love those because those are the ones when I get on Facebook, I don't let nobody know how many I race with. I'm just like, boom, third place, got it.
Well, I got the number 3 gold plate that year, and it was the same 2 guys I was racing the whole time. So they beat me every time. At least that year, I did come back, and as an intermediate, I did beat them some. But yeah, as a novice, they were whooping my butt.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you is I see you guys are both wearing the same logo on your shirt. What exactly is that about?
So I've had 3 people that have been close to me. 2 of them really close that have committed suicide. And then I've had some people that have been real close to me that struggle with some mental health issues. I struggle with some mental health. Mine's more anxiety. I don't know that I've ever had really issues with depression, but I've been on medication for anxiety for about 30 years now. And that's, fortunately, at 55, that's the only pill I take, but that is the pill I take. And so I wanted to start up a BMX team. I wanted to start up a brand, and I wanted it to mean something and have a purpose outside of just the BMX. And so that's a big part of our brand is suicide prevention and mental health. In fact, our mission is to give back 10% of our profits to those 2 causes. Mm-hmm. And then another part of our mission is pro BMX racers. Renato, and you'll be talking to him a little bit later, but he had a long professional career and did okay with it financially. Back then, everybody did okay with it financially, but nowadays it's really tough. And so what we want to do with this brand is we want to have a subscription model. And the subscription model is you would pay $500, and 8 times a year you would get a shirt like this. You get a backpack. It will be something different every time. And so a portion of that subscription money goes to that. But then, and again, 10% of that will go back to suicide prevention. But $100 of that subscription would go back for pro BMX purses. And the money wouldn't go to USABMX. It would go straight to the pros, kind of like what Nick Long did last year with the duffel bag. Right. It's sort of the same concept. But if we could get to 10,000 subscribers, then there would be 6 races that we would have. One of them would be the Grands, one would be the Florida State Championships, and then there would be 4 nationals that we would choose. And we would award the winners of the pro purses, both male and female, $13,000. And so there'd be an opportunity for if we can make this vision happen, and we can't do it ourselves. We're going to have the community standing behind us and helping us see to this vision. But if we can make this happen, and then even the vet pro, Barry Nobles or KJ, if they go out and they win one of these races, they'll win $5,400. And what is it? You see them now, and they make $500, $800 a vet pro. And, I've seen some of the least $1,500 and $1,600 checks. I mean, our name is Extreme Squared, and the reason we chose that name is because we are in the extreme sport. I mean, there's some danger to this. I mean, I think all of us on this call have had some injuries. I know Shannon, I witnessed his at the Grands, and but then there's guys, you think about Sam Willoughby and what he's gone through, So there's a lot of risk to it. And I just feel like they should be paid better. And this is our way of trying to help them out,
Right.
along with, trying to help out mental health too, because there are a lot of people that struggle with mental health.
Definitely.
I'm glad you added the Vet Pro into the mix, because that's one of the most exciting classes to watch right now.
Oh, it is.
Really
I mean, yeah, I know Shannon, last week we were together and we were talking about KJ and Barry, and that's something the sport kind of needs too. I like what KJ was doing with Barry, calling him out and having a bit of fun. But if our sport had a little bit more of that, I think it would be a little more interesting for folks outside of it. If we had a little bit of that, even if it's just a lot of talk and it's not serious. But you think back to the magazine days, that was something that got me interested. And there was always a rival going on. I mean, they built up Stu and Greg. They were brother-in-law, and Stu's married to a sister, but they're the big rival. And then you had Ronnie Anderson. You had all that stuff going on, and you don't really have that. I don't see it today. And I think, it could add a little bit of zest to the sport if we had some more of that going on as well.
I
mean, we still talk about the battles from the 80s,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the fun part about Facebook is going and, hearing Ronnie Anderson talking about all the crazy stuff he did and happened to him. And then you have somebody else jumping in. They remember, the crash they had in Bakersfield or wherever. And,
right.
Yeah.
40 years ago.
So you've been racing, over the few years or whatever. What's been your most serious accident so far?
It was off the track. It was out in front of the house. I'd actually went over to Oldsmar at the National and watched Renato and didn't stay the whole day. Came back, got my bike out of the truck and was just going to go for one spin down the road, and had the seat, the big seat we all use to cool down with, to ride around on the bikes, and it was loose and it moved on me just a bit, and enough for my front wheel got loose, and I face planted and ended up in the emergency room that night. I came in the house. My wife was like, "Oh my gosh, what happened to you?" I lost a tooth. I got one tooth that's cracked. They thought I'd have to have plastic surgery, but I went on the track, and so that's another thing I encourage everybody: when you're out there on the bike, use a helmet. Even I don't care if you're doing sprints or you're not doing sprints, because I really wasn't doing sprints. It was a freak accident, but it was a lesson learned.
And you had no helmet on at all, not like the half ones or nothing, right?
No, I had no. Then the other injury I've had, I broke my big toe, and that was 6 days before the state finals 2 years ago. And I was leading the points, and I went out to practice, and couldn't have happened at a worse time. And the doctor told me I shouldn't be racing. I said, well, I got to race. I had to make at least the main to try to win the state championship. And fortunately, I did make the main, but
I remember that.
Yeah.
I said, what is this crazy old guy doing out there, man? Racing with broken stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. But we do it because we love it, and honestly, it's been really good. It's been really good. I'm in better shape than I was 2 years ago. I've lost weight. I've lost 20 pounds. Yeah.
Don't worry. I found it.
Well, trust me, I could say I lost 30, but I gained 10 of it back, so I just said 20. But I'm working on trying to lose that 10 back, lose that 10 that I lost originally.
Okay, cool. So you guys are out in Florida, right?
We are.
What is the wildest track out there? Like the one that track is just intense.
Well, let's get the professional's opinion. What do you think about that?
No, I always bring to mind Sarasota. I think that's the toughest one to ride. I mean, they made a lot of changes, and and it's still a little bit out of control, a little bit there. But yeah, that's a bit the one that is like you better watch out when you're riding there. You have to be 300% focused on what you're doing,
Okay.
and it's wrong.
But here's the funny thing. I got him to tell you that, but I can't get him to tell me what his favorite track is. He tells me his favorite track is whatever one he's racing.
Oh yeah, no, my favorite. Oh yeah, sorry, I thought the Norley's track. So, but my favorite track, it is the one that I'm racing on that weekend.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
What's the so out of all the tracks you've raced at, which is the one track that is the most difficult?
Like I said, that would be in Sarasota.
It would be that one out of all of them?
Yeah,
Wow.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and see, for me, it's totally different. Orlando, that first straight gives me trouble. I don't know if y'all have had a chance to go to that one before, but that first jump, you come out of the gate and you don't have far to go before you hit the first jump, and it's pretty lippy, and then the third jump's pretty lippy. But Renato, he goes over it and manuals it and jumps it, and I'm like, gosh, why can't I do that?
It's like Iverson. Practice.
Right.
Just
Right.
practice.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm right there with you. It's just so hard to commit to those things when they could hurt you seriously. You know, looping out at over 50 years old is not the most fun thing to do, man. You know, and there's such a great chance of doing that while trying to get a manual or jumping or, you know, it's just, you know, you got to kind of eliminate the fear if you can and just commit, which is just hard, man.
Well, the coolest thing to me about Renato's manual and the way he rides, I was telling somebody the other day, I've been around him for a little over 2 years now and traveled with him quite a bit and watched him race a lot. And he could be out there, you know, I don't know how we would, you know, what we could put on him so I wouldn't be able to recognize him. But he could be out there on the track and I would recognize him. He's got a certain style to him and it's just recognizable. There's nobody else that rides like he does.
So I came back into the sport also about 2 years ago. Immediately went onto YouTube and started just going back, you know, to 2015 Grands and 2017, 18, you know. Then I started watching my age group and then the age group I probably would eventually be in. And of course, I came across a video of Renato at the Grands. And he just blew my mind. I'm like, there's no way this guy is that old riding that good, like and that smooth. Because I've seen guys like our age riding and they're really good, but they just don't have the complete package. And I just felt like this guy had the complete package. I mean, he was jumping, he was pedal manuing over jumps and just areas that not even the teens or like, you know, the guys in their 20s were doing. You know, he just blew my mind. And then he had this outfit on, you know, the old Soul Wrecking Crew outfit, you know, colorful. So it's a distinct outfit, you know, you can't miss him, you know. So one of my first nationals I go to, it was in Dixieland, you know, and I park and he parks next to me and he gets out the car, he has his jersey on, and I'm starstruck, bro. I'm like, not even like I seen the pros go by, Connor and all these guys. I'm like, oh, there's Connor, there's this guy, and then Renato pops up. I'm like, oh my God, that's the guy I've been watching on the TV. That's him, yo. And then I'm like, that can't be him, but that's it. There's got to be him, you know, because he's big and he got the, you know. So I think I talked to him that day, and I didn't ask him anything about racing, really, because he was just getting out of his car and he kind of tucked his keys in a certain area, and I was like, that's how you guys do it, because I didn't know where to put my keys when I was going on the track. I said, that's the trick, okay, you know. So I tucked my keys kind of around the same place he did in his car. And I just never forgot that. I was like, that's Renato, bro. Oh, my God. You know, I should have talked to him. Why? I was like starstruck, bro. It was kind of funny because I never get like that. But it's just as soon as I met him and, I mean, you know, just that little few seconds, I was just like, that's the guy right there, man. Oh, my God. And then I watched him race that day, and he was just amazing, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess I had the opposite reaction. I walked by and I remember you got like a brand new frame or something, and somebody that I was with like knows you, so he was like, you were showing him the frame, and I walked over and I was like, oh, that's cool, you got a new frame, and you're just like, yeah, and I'm like, and in my head I'm thinking, you know, you'll be all right when you get out there, man. Good luck. And then he just looked at me like, I don't think you know who that guy is. I was like, no, but go have fun. As long as you don't fall, you'll be fine. You know?
You give Renato advice.
Right?
That's too funny.
You'll be fine, kid. Just keep going. But yeah, so the thing I also love about BMX is the fact that it's like a family. You can go to a family event and then a couple years, leave, whatever, come back, and it still feels like the same family event with just new family you didn't know you knew. That's what brought me back to BMX was, I raced as a kid and I was trashed then, I'm trashed now, but just the love that I had for racing was just like, oh my God, this, you get there, you go there, you watch people, you make new friends. You get to go. My girlfriend's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Dude, we get to go to hotels." I come back and tell people, "Oh, I went to Kentucky and raced. We went to Alabama. We go to all these cool spots and everything, and just meet all these wonderful people and everything." Where's the one place that you guys have been where people have I guess I would say they recognize you. You've seen someone somewhere. I've heard mostly from the other professional riders. They always say the airport. They get recognized in the airports. Is that what happens to you guys too? Like you guys see somebody, you're like, oh, that's the guy from my track over there, or I know that guy from over there.
Yeah, pretty much airport and hotels. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we see a lot. Being here in Florida in the state series, we all stay at the same hotels, but and that's another point I'd like to make. We stay at these hotels, and one thing that Renato and I'll get every time we go to a hotel and check in is, we'll have our bikes with us. We take them up to the room because we don't feel comfortable leaving them out and possibly getting stolen. And they're like, well, what's going on? Why you got these bikes? The person at the front desk. And that's another thing that I really think the sport's missing. There's not enough marketing of it. I mean, here we are. I mean, at the Florida state races, we'll have 200 motos. We'll have some nationals don't even have much more than that, or some of them don't even have 200. And people don't even know what we're doing. We'll have conversations with a few people there, but why aren't we getting out there and letting people know what we're doing and that we're having this big race and really promoting it for the area? And there's a lot of money coming in too.
Right.
I mean, just think how much money comes into that area that weekend when you got 200 motos and then you got parents and all the different people that are there with the racers.
Right.
It's just a shame. It really could be promoted so much better. And I'm not pointing fingers because we're going to try to do better with that. That's
Right.
Instead of accusing people of not doing better, then let's do better.
Right.
And that's what we want to do.
I agree.
One quick story about family. When I went back to Brazil in 2005, I came back in 2015. And so I left as a pro and came back, and I was an old guy. So I got on the track in Simi Valley, and I didn't have a bike. The track operator was the same, so he knew who I was. And I said, well, I have a cruiser. You can use it if you want to ride. I said, all right. So it was like dust and everything. So I just pumped the tire, went to the track, got a helmet, went to the track, and I was double manual, triple, that most of the guys were having trouble or even go through it. And the guy just come up and said, what is your background? And then I said, I'm just a beginner and this and that. And every group was there. I said, this is Renato Silva. You don't know Renato Silva. Yeah, that's a comeback.
Jeez, didn't even miss it.
Did you not race from 2005 to 2015?
No, I was back in Brazil. I raced maybe the first 2 years, but I wasn't trained. I was just racing some of the races over there. And then I went to college. So I was 4 years in college, but in between then, I was coaching city. So I was doing full-time job as a coach from 8 to 4 as a coach in Brazil, and then go at night to school. And then I did masters a year and a half. And then when I masters end, I got I applied for the green card in Brazil. So that's how I got back in 2015.
Okay.
So yeah, I did physical education.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool. So what is, I mean, and what is would you say the difference between racing here and racing in Brazil?
I think it's obviously the number of riders, and we have a good organization too. But I think it's more is the number of riders. Like I raced there in Brazil, I was in sort of vacation, but I took my bike and they had the nationals, and the national is just one race. And my friends would say, "Oh, are you gonna race? Are you gonna race?" And I said, I haven't been on my bike that much, and I went to a state race and I won. And I said, you know what? I'm feeling good. I'm going to go to the nationals. So I went there, and obviously the tracks are different, a little bit different. This one was all asphalt and lippy and all that, and small turn on the second turn. But then I said, well, you know what? We need to learn how to learn the track. And it's not just like talking bad about the track is this and that. No, we have to learn. Yep. So I kind of was lucky that I had 3 days or 2 days of practice, in which helped. If I had one day, I probably wouldn't be able to ride as well as I did on the national. But it was good. I was learning every lap. I learned a little bit more. And then by the mains on Sunday, I was doing a little style on the second straight. So I posted that video. It was pretty cool seeing that the little turned out. So that was nice. So that was like it was a happy me riding my bike. So I got it.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So when you came back, what did you race as? And what age group were you in?
I was 41, 45, but as soon that year I turned 46, was 15. Okay. So I raced Reno, I think only Reno as 41, 45. And I remember that I was riding with a loan bike from Randy Roberts.
Okay.
And so the guys were just snapping me and just moving over. And then I said, I'll see you guys down the line one day. The years went by, just like never saw those guys again.
Wow. So what class are you guys in now, though?
5 national championships. NAG one, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and he's won 6 rocks.
Yeah, well,
that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
I'm still working on my first one. I ain't got there yet, but maybe someday.
Yeah. Shannon, I think Shannon made mains in both of them.
Yeah, blue boat. No, he's saying I made the mains in Rock and Grands last year. That just passed.
Yeah, that's accomplishment. I was listening to a podcast not too long ago, and one I listen to frequently, and he's had guys on there, and they barely made the Grands, or they haven't made the Grands, and these are guys that are pretty darn good. I mean, it's not easy. And then to say you've won 5 Grands and 6 rocks,
they're the best of the best right there.
Yeah.
And that's not at like novice or intermediate. That's at the highest level.
Yeah.
Right. And you're in the 51-55 age group, expert.
Yes. Yeah. For another year.
That's crazy because Shannon's like knocking on that door right now.
There you go. There we go. Be ready for the young puppies.
Right.
Yeah. And here's the thing: in Florida, there's Renato's obviously at the top of the list right now and has been for a while, but there's some good guys here too that are top 10 NAG. We got DL, we got Drew Motley, we got Tom Johnson. I mean, that's a tough class just in the state. And so the guys like me, I'm in the 51 to 55 intermediate. We're shaking our boots because we know we get that 20th win, we're gonna have to race these guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So usually when you go up in age, you look at the guys as being a little slower, maybe easier to beat. So I think of the 46 to 50-year-old guys, and I'm like, they're fast, but not like the 51 to 55-year-old guys. I'd like put my money on the 51 to 5 guys any day over the 46 to 50 guys. It's just, I don't know. I don't see them racing together, but when I see their moto separately, the 51 to 55 guys just look smoother and faster and just stronger. Just, I don't know. I could be
It's
wrong.
definitely that way here in Florida. I mean, certainly at the expert level. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
I think that class is one of the best classes in the whole state in terms of the talent. I mean, it's hard to find. I don't even know if there is one that's got that much talent in it.
One of the things I wanted to ask too is, so with this year being that they changed the age grouping, right, to the 51, 55, and then 56, 60 or something like that, would you say that the competition is easier or is harder with that breakdown of that two age group right there?
I don't think so. It's still the same. Pretty much the top guys is still pretty much a little bit the same age, but like I tell people, it's not about because you're aging up that's going to be an easier class. I never got that in my head. Even that when I came back, I asked USABMX, should I race Vet Pro or not? They said, well, if you go Vet Pro, it's going to be hard for you to come back. I don't think I would have been able to go back as an amateur. So because I was a pro before.
Right.
So he said, try the expert and see how you feel. And then you choose. And actually, I mean, obviously, when I came back, I didn't have a bike, and I, was struggling a little bit to get back in shape and all that. And I said, well, you know what? I'll just stay in my own age group class. And obviously, the training went by, and then I felt faster, and it was going fast. And people were saying, why don't you race Vet Pro? And I said, nah. Because I was already 46 when I got into a better shape. I was start winning some of the nationals, and I still had when I got into 46 and over. It was Todd Perry. It was the first year that I got back. He was still there, and it was a tough competition, even with the other guys too. But and then I won that year, 2016. I won the Grands. Todd Perry crashed in practice, wasn't able to race the Grands. But that was the breaking point. I said, no, you know what? I got to the age is like I'm not playing with that for what $400 what the payout is, and the guy was like a carnage on Vet Pro.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 So after initially racing Cruiser, have you ever got back on a Cruiser? Have you raced Cruiser?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I raced in 17. I raced the Worlds in 16 in Colombia.
Okay.
I got taken out on semis by a Dutch guy and didn't make it the main. And then 17 at Rock Hill, I wrecked myself on the 8s. I went to high-low a guy. My front wheel washed out the first turn. So that was it for me there. I was in second, going for first. But and then I raced the Nationals that year. But that was the year that I left. First time that I left Alto was in September. I had a little going on there. So I left the team. So I didn't have a bike to race the Grands. I was battling with Jeremy Thompson for first in both class and cruiser. So I didn't have a cruiser to race or a 20-inch that I gave back to Alto. And so I bought a bike from a guy in Simi Valley. I forgot his first name, sorry, but he lost his bike, and I raced that, and then I put it together a cruiser, but a cruiser was a little bit smaller. I made main both of them, and cruiser was the first main. I had gate 8 and finished 4th, so that was my number 4. And then it was good because from that I learned for my main. It was gate 8 also on in class. So I had the same spot, same guys, pretty much. I got out of the turn. I was in third, going in second or third, and then what his name I got? Raul Gomez kind of blocked me up on top, and I just let him go, but I didn't stop pedaling. So I got out of the turn in 5th, And then I saw an opening, so I went through the middle two guys. I got out the second, turning third behind Raul Gomez, and Jeremy was winning. So I got into past Raul Gomez and then caught up to Jeremy at the finish line. So I passed him at the line.
Oh man!
Wow,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Class.
I want to see that race.
Right? I'm like, dude, that was intense.
14,
Yeah, it's a great one. I've gone back and watched it because, as I was telling you last week, Shannon, when I was getting out of racing, I remember Jeremy just starting, and he was new to the sport. He was 11-year-old kid. I don't remember how old he was, but maybe 12. And then I kind of keep up with the sport, and all of a sudden I see him racing Renato. And that's kind of how I knew who Renato was. Got to know who he was before I ever met him. Was seeing him battling it out with Jeremy, guy from North Carolina. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, had good battles there. Me and Jeremy.
So, have you played any other sports?
Yeah, I did soccer. I almost got into. Well, I went to junior. Like here it would have been college. I was 17. I was about to turn pro, and I hurt my foot. And that year, I was already racing BMX, and I was invited to do the World Championships in Belgium. And so I had to train and look for a sponsor to travel. So I kind of gave the soccer a little time and ran away. So I got the sponsorship and I went to Belgium, and that I never looked back on that. And play volleyball, handball, in college, and in high school. Yeah.
So who was your favorite soccer player when you were a kid?
Man, we have so many, but Pelé, I didn't see him play that much. I would say Zico.
Okay.
He was a Flamengo guy. So yeah, there's a couple good players there, but yeah, there's the ones that stand up a little bit more.
It seems like a lot of BMX kids play soccer. That's their second sport. At any other sport, like a lot of kids play soccer, man. And I know I did also as a youth, and I'm just there's some kind of connection there. I don't know what it is, but
Exactly. I think the stamina. But when I came to the States and I was in California, I turned pro. I stopped playing soccer because I was afraid to get hurt. And then at the same time, I said, why am I afraid of play something that I played my whole life? So how am I going to race if I'm afraid? So I stopped playing back and I started doing better my racing too. So
Nice.
yeah, play a little mind game.
Do you guys change your gearings per track, or you just one gear and you guys are good for the year, or?
Well, I can't tell my secret, but
all right, yeah, I hear you.
No, but I don't. I used to, but I don't anymore. I mean, I maybe a little bit here and there as tire size, but I think most of it is just the training. I know people go crazy when they go here, go there, but it's just all about what you train.
Yeah, not that it really matters much what I'm running, but I run the same gear too all the time. I don't change the tires up per se, and I probably run a little bit easier gear than most people, but it's just what feels comfortable to me. When somebody comes up to me and says, "What gear you run?" I said, "I'll tell you, but you probably don't want to know." I said, "You really you need to run what's comfortable to you, not worry about what anybody else is running." Because what works for Renato may not work for me, and vice versa. What I'm running is not going to work for him. So,
yeah, obviously the difference in between the adults is the kids. The kids, sometimes you do have to. Actually, at first of all, they have to be running easy gears for them to learn how to spin and all that. But obviously, a lot of parents think that they need that big sprocket. They need to be like 54, 16. I say, come on, he's only 5 years old, 7 years old. And I see them going just like, I said, it's not going anywhere. But they think, no, but it's a big hill, which it doesn't matter. If you see that some of those elite riders, they go down the 8-meter hills with a 44.16. It's amazing. It's crazy to see just 44.16. I never thought that I was going to go up a gear from 44.16. But here in Florida, all the tracks are soil deck, and it's quite quick. And so I said, I need to go up a little. So I went to 45, and I felt okay, and then that's how I run. And but again, it's just about training, practice, and how you feel.
Do you both guys do your own maintenance on your guys' bike?
No, I clean up. Sometimes when I need a big thing, I'll take to the bike shop. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I take mine to bike shop usually as well. It's funny, Renato, Friday night, I was trying clips for the first time because I've been intermediate less than a year now, but I didn't want to try them until I really felt comfortable.
Right.
And so he was there kind of helping me out, and he noticed that my chain was really loose. And so obviously I need to pay better attention to the mechanics of my bike because that wouldn't have been good with me just first time racing in clips and my chain pops off.
Right, and just boom. Yeah.
That reminds me of a quick story about last night. I went to the Burlington last night and did the clinic with the kids, and then stayed after for the practice. One of the kids came up to me. He's 13. He actually just came back from Worlds, so I'm thinking maybe the bike just got rebuilt, so he could hit the track when he came back. So he comes up to me, Shannon, I know you know how to work on bikes. He said, there's something shaking on my bike. So I do the drop test, take by the back of the seat, drop it, take the handlebars, lift it up, drop it, just so I can hear the area that the down is. So the chain is really loose. The hub is loose, right? His headset was loose. So I was like, bro, you got to bring the bike back to your father and have him tighten those things up, and then so you can ride. Then he comes back about, I don't know, probably a half hour, hour later. And he said, Shan, he said, check this out. Should this be like this? And he took the lock ring that's supposed to lock the cog onto the hub. It was loose. Like he was able to move it around the hub with his hand. And I'm like, oh my God, bro. I said, don't ride your bike no more. Take it to your father. Tell him to put that lock ring on, else the cog is going to fall off and you're going to eat the dirt, man. So he did that. He's like, you know what? I'm going to bring it to my dad. So I went with him and I told him, I said, Dad, the kid's bike is falling apart, without kind of jokingly, I know his dad. So it was cool. Then he says, no, he's been riding a bike like that all day. And then he told the kid, like, go ahead, you can continue riding. And I'm like, no, because the kid was getting back on his bike and he was going to take off again. And I said, no, this is different, bro. Like the thing can actually come off the cog. And so I pulled the cog with the chain, and I see that often at the tracks, man. So maintenance on bikes, I know is a huge thing, Yeah. It's in my mind that these kids are riding around like that.
Yeah, I checked the tires. I think the kids is like, they go in for a little jump, like ding. I said flat, low tire, low pressure. So I go there. I say, hey, you need to get some air in the tire.
Yeah, I've seen him checking their tire, the pressure, their handlebar. A lot of the kids got their handlebars up too high.
Yeah,
they got all the spacers underneath there, and they don't really need that.
Right.
And some of the kids are particularly, I like that way. I said, no, sorry, those spacers down.
So you'll see Renato over there with a wrench taking that stem down.
I'm that guy at the track now too. I actually notice tires when they're backwards. That's how like detailed I get down to the bike. I'm just sitting there staring at their bike, and I'm like, hold on, something's wrong.
Guilty.
Yeah, he's true. I didn't say anything, but it was his tire was backwards there.
Friday it was?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
All right, they're easy to put on backwards, don't get me wrong, but because a lot of them don't have the directional sign. You have to look at the pattern on the tire,
Yeah.
And and I can't see as good as I used to either, so I'm gonna use that as an excuse. I have to use readers now, so I guess when I put my tires on, I'm gonna have to have my readers on.
Yeah, that was just the front wheel is nice to just turn around, but the back wheel was just a pain.
Yeah.
Because when you have it on, you have to take everything out.
So have you both competed at Worlds before? I know Renato has, but have you did Worlds yet?
No, I have not. No, I don't think I'm at that level yet. But
I mean, I wanted to do it when it was in Paris, but I got
Yeah.
the qualifier was at Rock Hill, and everybody just kind of dusted me, and then it started raining that day, and I was just like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, if I ever do it, it would be Rock Hill, and that's next year. So I never say never. I may try it next year. So
It's gonna be crazy.
yeah, it will be. I'm looking forward to it because I know when it was there in 2017, I was actually in North Carolina on business and wanted to get over there and watch it. Didn't get that opportunity, but I'll definitely be taking some time off that week, whether I'm racing or if I'm just watching Renato.
So Renato, from the time you started racing up until now, just if you was to name one person that gives you the most problems on the track, who would it be? Like, he's in the gate and you're like, oh my God, I cannot mess up. I got to bring my A game today, else this guy is going to give it to me. Like, who is that one guy?
I don't think that way. I don't know. At the pro days, we had a lot of the guys was pretty fast, and some of the guys was snapping a little bit faster than the others, like Steve Veltman or Charles Townsend. Even what was there on Jimmy Staff, Thomas Allier. But nowadays, I mean, everybody's fast. But if you're that age, you fear somebody. Just like no.
I'm hearing them, but just know that they're just as fast as you, and you might have to just give a little extra to make sure you stay ahead of that guy.
Jeremy Thompson was one of the guys that beat me most, and DL now lately a couple nationals he beat me, so I think pretty much it falls for the old guys. Let's say, yeah.
Yep. When I see you and DL line up, or you and Jeremy line up,
one guy one guy that called me out now is Terry Tennant. So
really?
He said he's coming back and he's looking for me, and I said, "We'll get on."
Yeah.
But he said he'll be at the Grands. So yeah. So yeah. Sorry, what was your question?
No, I mean, it's just a joy watching when I see you up at the gate and I see Jeremy somewhere in there. I'm like, oh my God, we're getting for a good race, bro. When I see DL up there and you up there, it's like, I know it's going to be a good race, man.
Yeah.
I still look forward to that.
It is great. I mean, obviously you don't want to get too crazy, but those guys is, I mean, I with respect to everybody, we had Chris Kennedy won last year. It was a great race.
Yep.
And the funny part was we didn't race at all last year. One national, just that race we raced each other, and he got, which was good. I mean, hands up for him. So that was a good one, and the one to be. So the only guy on the gate and the mains that could beat me, that couldn't beat me for me to be a number one, it was him, and then he beat me and it got me by 17 points. That's how close it was.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, any of the other guys that made the main last year could have won, and I would have been in last. I would still be number one if it wasn't for Chris Kennedy.
And he's the one that won. Wow.
Yeah, that was a great race. Yeah.
And we were talking about how hard it is to win the Grands. I could be mistaken, but I think I read that was the first time he had ever won the Grands. And so, I'm sure that was very exciting for him. And so it's tough. It's tough to go in there and win it, and then it's really tough to go in there and win it every year.
Yeah,
you got a bullseye on your back, just like with any sport. If you're the top guy, then everybody's out there to beat you.
I was just thinking about that, how hard they are training, like with Renato on their mind the whole time, with every start, every gate, every turn, it's like, I got to beat this guy. He wins all the time, So I heard Chris Kennedy really worked hard last year for that win, I heard he put in some extra time.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was exciting.
Yeah.
Well, that just goes to show. I mean, it is a lot of hard work. I mean, it's and we got day jobs and we got other responsibilities, family, and just trying to fit in the time to do some of this, go to the gym or do sprints or whatever it is you're trying to do. It's a sacrifice and dedication. And sometimes you got to wonder why in the world we do this but.
And then I go on my phone, I go to Renato's Instagram or something. He's jumping up on fences. And, I mean, I'm like, God, is that really him doing that? Or does he have like a stunt double that's half his age or something? What's going on?
Jeez.
He jumped up on the fence, jumped around, I think, and then jumped around. You saw that, right?
You should have both looking at each other like, did you see that?
Then he jumped up on some gym equipment and did the same thing. And I'm like, oh my God, be careful. The 50-year-old guy in me is like, please be safe,
Yeah, that was the best one, the one in the gym, because the look at the guy that saw him coming towards him, that was priceless.
Yeah, I did one. There's the other one that I'm jumping like a fold, the proper thing to jump on. And at first, I think I'm not gonna make it, and I say, you know what, I'm gonna try. So it was pretty much almost my height. I take a couple of steps and I jump both feet up, but it was tall. It was good.
But see, he used to run bleachers and stairs with Greg Hill too. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it gave me a good training and everything. So Greg Hill, it's part of my my comeback. And actually, when I got in the States, the first pro that I saw, that was back in '93. It was Greg Hill, and I didn't speak in English back then. And the guy, my friend, says, "Do you know who that is?" And I said, "I don't know who that is." And he said, "That's Greg Hill." I said, "Oh my God, I need to get his autograph." So we went there, and then he introduced me to him. And I had a GT Mach 1, like a Brazilian handlebars, just small, was riding like this, and after practice, Greg Hill said, "Well, you're fast, but you need to change those bars." So he gave me one of his jerseys, and he was for answer or something. And I just like, cool. So I gave him the jersey, and I was practicing for the Fall National that year. And I had a sponsor back in Brazil, but I don't know, they wasn't paying anything for me, but they paid me to get there. So I wore their jersey. And after the race, when I got back to practice, Greg Hill said, "Well, I gave you the jersey, you didn't wear the jersey." And I said, he didn't say me that to wear the jersey, and they didn't pay anything for, not even my entry fees. I didn't have money to pay the entry fees. So, and then he got mad at me. He wouldn't talk to me, and then I said, "Oh my God." So it took a while for him to melt down, and we finally got back to talking, and actually I was able to communicate too. And the funny part was I turned pro. I was a pro for a while, and then I went to him to coach me. So I was paying him, and then they say, "No, Renato, I think after a month or 2 months, I don't want your money. You can come over my house. We can train, and we're good friends." And so that was nice. And then by then he was paying me to do his clinics. He would have called me, said, "Renato, I had a clinic. Seems like I can't do it. Can you take it from me?" I said, "Yeah, I do it." So $400. So it was cool. I just and my perspective was like, man, I was paying the guy, now he's paying me. So it was nice, and we're still friends out today. Yeah. So it's pretty nice.
Do you talk to any of the old pros from back in the days and try to get them to come back?
Not really. I mean, it's everybody's choice. I mean, it was nice to see Travis Turrison coming back, so we got to talk a little bit, and some of the pros, has a little bit of their egos and everything. And
right.
When I said no, it's just like everything else, we had to restart. I mean, it's like when I was coming back in 2015, and that was in July. By October or September, I talked to a group. I said, "Eric, I don't understand. I cannot even snap those kids like 11, 12. I couldn't snap them." And they say, Renato, we think as a pro, but we don't have the legs. We don't have the thing anymore. And I said, you know what? I need to train more. I didn't say anything to him, but I said thanks, and I ran my way, and I said I need to train more. So that was in September. By November, which would have been the Grands of that year, we had a guy, Corey Salas. It was the fastest amateur there in our track that year. So one day we went for practice. We did 3 gates. We would have kind of get together. We got 3 gates. I beat him 3 times. He went home. And then I said, I'm ready now for the Grands. So from not even beat one kid at 12 to get into the fastest guys at the track by November. So that's
pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So that was nice. And it's all, like I said, it's about practice and all that. And that year I got 3rd in rock and 2nd in class. I was that close to win class, but Sweet hold me up on the first turn, and O'Gorman passed both of us.
Oh, so, man.
By the time I passed Sweet back, I couldn't catch O'Gorman, so I finished 2nd on that year. So
yeah, they're both kind of fast, man.
15, yeah. So it was nice. It was nice, and everybody was asking, "Who's that guy? Who's that guy?" And especially that on rock, I raced with my local tracks jersey, and then Renato Pistolicio also talked to me after the race. He knew who I was. I didn't know who he was, and he said, "Oh, okay, you want to ride for us and everything?" And I said, "All right, I have nothing, so let's do it." So on Saturday or Sunday or Saturday for the Grands, so I was on auto gear. So nobody knew who I was. Who is that fast guy over there? So that was nice too. So, yeah.
How often do you train? Like, how often do you go to the gym? How often do you go to the track? How often do you do off-track work?
Every day. Every day. It's a sprints, gym, and then track at night. Even when I'm doing clinics that I'm not riding, I'm mentally working myself. So I just I won't say 24/7, but I pretty much every day.
Would you ever get a coach? Or do you have a coach now?
No, I don't. Back when I was a pro, that I had Greg Hill for a while. I always wanted to get those programs. Those guys had those crazy program and everything. I had a guy in Brazil not long ago. He wrote the program for me, but it was so complicated. And I said, I'm never gonna do those stuff. So I never followed the program. I'm sorry, coach.
I'm sure he's not that mad.
Yeah. So, but I had it's all sequence. You have to do it and feel the progress, and that's how I feel. It's just not like, okay, today I'm gonna ride. Okay, you go there, ride. Okay, now tomorrow I'm not gonna ride. Okay, and then it's not gonna happen. It has to be. It's like your job.
Right. Yep.
You're right. Progress. Yeah. So it's just like for you guys on the podcast. Podcast is like, okay, this first one was like this. Okay, this one will be better. This one will be better. And it's always learning something from every episode. So that's how the bike ride goes. And there's nobody better than anybody. I'm not better than anybody. I train hard. I mean, people say, don't you get tired of winning? I say, no, I train. If when I'm be born to train, that's where it's time to quit. Because if you're not training, you're not gonna. It's not worth it. Yeah. So you have to be trained, and it's like when I come back from Brazil that sometimes I'm not training, and then the guys beat me in the first couple of nationals. They say yes. I said, good job, keep it up. I see a couple guys there. They know who they are.
Nice.
But no, it's good. It's good. I see the improvement and everything, and most of it for me now is see the kids that I coach and the regular base that improving, and also the old kids that I used to train, and how now their parents and everything, and seeing they saying how good it was that they learned from me, not only on the track but out of the track. So that doesn't pay any money for it. So I'm really glad and happy for that. Yeah. So,
Do you think you can be competitive in your group on flat pedals?
yes, I can. I can. I even, I'm not going to say my top wheel. I was going to say. So last Saturday, Tom Johnson said, I was there doing a clinic for one kid in Daytona. And he said, "You're not going to ride? Are you afraid?" And on my bike, I had flat pedals. And I said, I can race you with flat pedals. But I didn't say anything. I just like, now he will know. But no, I don't have a problem. It's like I tell Tony or anybody else, you have to be feeling going fast on flats. The clips, we got to clips at the old age of the pros. It was back in '99 or something. That was Boba Harris and Donnie Robinson was starting to get into the class. And so people felt like, we need to get on clips. So we start clips back then. And obviously it was hard. And then I said, you know what? I'm not putting clips to go faster. I'm putting clips to keep my speed. So with that, obviously I got a little bit faster, but it's not to be fast. Now people sometimes think that they had to put the clips to be fast. No, you are fast. You're gonna keep your speed, and obviously will make you faster.
Okay.
But, yeah, you have to be fast.
That way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you listen to the? You listen to the. I don't say you listen to the light. Shannon knows what I'm trying to say. What am I trying to say, Shannon?
You listen to the beep, or do you watch the light at the gate?
I listen to the beep. Yeah, because one thing was, I was able to, because back in the day it was ABA. I used to race ABA more than NBL. ABA was two lights. Riders red was the lights. Not even a noise, just the lights. And then I used to come to East Coast and race NBL. NBL was the lot of lights. So I would get lost. So, and then I start just listening. And I did okay with that for a while. Then I moved to Florida. I was doing okay with the lights. I learned the lights and everything. I kind of put something to work. And then the hurricane came, and the lights at Orlando went out. So we practiced a couple, I don't know, maybe a month without lights. And then I started liking it, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna do it without lights. So I just listened to today the sound. Yeah.
Head up. You have your head up or head down?
While looking a little bit ahead, not down.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't look up or I just look ahead. Yeah. And for the kids that I coached that watch the lights, because it's so fast, I tell them just see it in slow motion. Don't go so quick, because your eyes just trying to follow the lights and you're lost. So just boom, boom, go, or boom, go. So see the light and go for the light. Yeah.
Is there ever a track that has lights just on one side of like on the bottom of the hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got one track right now they've got them on both sides, but they don't work on the right side. And the first time I went out there, I'm sitting there looking at the ones on the right, and I hear the beat, and I'm like, what in the world? And because I watch the lights.
And so you usually turn your head to the right automatically?
Yeah, I do.
So if the ones on the right don't work, can you go to the left? Or are you just so used to going to the right?
I was able to adjust that night, but I didn't like it. I prefer when they've got them on most of the tracks we go to, they've got them on both sides.
Yeah.
I got used to that. It's weird. When I first started back, I was actually listening. And then I switched over to watching. And and here lately I've been trying to try that and practice some.
Yeah.
But me personally, I've done it both ways. But lately I've been doing the lights more than I have been trying to listen.
Yeah, back in Brazil when we started was by hand.
Yeah.
The guy would push, and I would have been in the gate and looking, like really looking at the guy. I said, "Why are you looking?" I said, "When he goes like this, I go and I got a head start pretty much." I didn't tell them back then, so it was my trick.
And then you had the guy on the side that lifted the gate the whole race, yo.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, just like boom, boom.
Well, yeah.
I remember those days, man.
I would say my first year, I remember riding, I hear the cadence, and then like probably about a year into it, and then someone was like, "Do you even look at the light?" I'm like, "There's an actual light. Like, where's this light at?" Because I just thought it was just the sound of what they just said. So I was like, "There's an actual light." And they're like, "Yeah, look down there, down the hill." And I was like, "Oh crap! There's been a light there the whole time." So, yeah. So, but yeah, I never just went with the sound.
Yeah. I just go for the sound too.
So Renato, you've been doing this a long time, man. A lot of people don't last up until this age. They get hurt or they have, life stuff that they need to tend to. Do you think the break from 2005 to 2015 helped you stay in the game a little longer?
Not really, because as I was coaching back in Brazil, I would have ride my bike a little. I think the main thing, I was, I don't know, everything happens for a reason. So when because I overstayed my visa twice, and then the second time they didn't let me in the States, so they sent me back to Brazil. So that was in 2005. I raced the Worlds in Paris, and from there I went to Brazil, and then Brazil I was coming over, so I couldn't come in. So and then I had to decide what I was going to do. So I tried the visa on 2006. Everything went fine and everything, and then when I got there to get my passport, and they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but there's no proof here that you're going to go there and come back." So that was it. And then that year I start college, and then I don't know. I never looked back and I said I will be back to the States. And I even told the police officer there. I said one day I will come back because I have a mission, and my mission here is not finished, and I will be back. So here I am. Yeah.
So is your mission finished, or do you still have a mission?
We're still on a mission. Yeah, we're still living the dream, and it's a lot of things to do. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll say for both you guys, one question I wanted to ask about bike frames. What do you think the difference between the bike frames we rode back in the 80s and 90s to the bikes now?
I think it's pretty much obviously the geometry, but the size. Before we had pretty much just one size fit at all.
Right.
And then I look at back in the day, even if you see the videos, there's Stu Thompson just like 6 feet, 7 feet tall with a small bike, and said, "I'm like, how did he rode that?" And then nowadays I have my bike's a triple XL, and I can't imagine. I actually, as a pro, I rode Pro Concept, which was a triple XL. That was, the start of the evolution on the bikes. Even Diamondback was still a little bit on the small side when I was on Diamondback. So Pro Concept come up with the triple XL, and that was good. My best year.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
When's the last time you got on an old school bike?
It's been a while now. Thanks, because I think it was I don't know if I can say old school, but one year when I was in Alto, he had a Paralite cruiser, and the bike looked so sweet, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna practice on that bike. And then I went there and got the air pumped and everything, but I didn't check the chain bolt. So I went in, I did one gauge, just regular, just warming up, not doing anything crazy. So I felt good at it, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna do a gate. Not good. So I went in and the chain popped out of the gate.
Jeez.
So knees down and then flipping over. So everybody went crazy. I said, "Oh my God, Renato crashed. Are you okay?" Okay. So thank God I didn't get hurt on that year. So yeah, so that was my last time on the old school.
I actually, now that y'all ask that question, I'd like to ride one just to see what the difference would be. Because, gosh, I hadn't been on one 37 years or something like that. So
I just feel like they were easier to do wheelies on back then.
I was gonna say, I could do wheelies really good on those, and I can't now.
I can't get the front end up. I'm like, I was like, well, you just don't want to try hard because you're afraid you're gonna fall. I'm like, no, that's not it. I just can't figure out how to you see the people just roll right by you manually, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, the bikes back then, the back end was like this big. It's like so small, so it was easier to do the manual or the wheelie.
Yeah, I used to do wheelies all the way down the road, and now I can't do one 5 feet on the
Right.
So
I raced in the 80s Diamondback. I don't know, probably a little less than a year ago, out at Raleigh. They had an old school event, and there was like 3 gates of old school guys, and guys came out with the torquers and the thrusters and the old mongooses, and I had the 82 Diamondback. It felt so freaking weird, man. I almost died a few times, just on the second straight alone, and it's so different, so different, man. I mean, I had the seat up high like you're supposed to, with bars up and the little Diamondback bars, and I'm the only 5'8", and the bikes felt tiny to me, so
yeah.
but it was fun though. But it's so much. Then I got on my bike and I'm like, wow, bro, it just feels so much safer and just so much for that track, as it should.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a crazy feeling.
I would say, wow, that's pretty much all the questions that I have. You guys answered so many things for us. I was just like, wow. Shannon, do you have anything else?
Yeah, just Renato, just name a few of some of the guys that you raced back in the day. I just want to hear some of these names of some of these guys that you competed against, because I know a lot of them, and I'm just curious to know, like, some of these guys that you were on the gate with, man, as a youth or even as an adult, or you don't have to name them all, but just some of the names that we might know of,
Yeah. I got in, it was, I was able to see racing Pete Nankarovich, but I didn't got in the gate with him. And then I raced Charles Townsend, Gary Ellis, Jumpers, Bubba Harris coming in as a pro, Donnie Robinson, Danny Nelson, Christophe Levesque, Thomas Allier, Jimmy Staff, Dale Holmes, Chris Sanchez, the Alan Foster's brothers. So yeah, so many
Wow.
AA pros. Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
With racing all these pros, did you see yourself in any like the magazines or anything?
Yeah. Well, I did get a couple. Yeah, features in the magazine with those guys. Steve Veltman, Matt Hayden, the Way Boots, Newwood, so all those tough guys. Some of the Australian riders too.
He's even got to race me a couple times. You forgot to mention that.
Yeah. Tony. Yeah.
I don't know that I'd call it a race. I was beside him, and then once the gate dropped, I just took his back from a far distance.
Yeah, we had also. I raced for a while. Robert DeVilde. When he came into the States, we raced A Pro. He was on GT and I was on Diamondback, so we raced each other, and then we became friends and we raced AA together too. So that was kind of nice. Yeah, we're still friends today.
So also before we leave, like, what are some of the teams that you raced for?
let's say, well, I have a couple in Brazil, but here I race for AXO,
Okay.
and then Diamondback, Answer Pro Concept, Wells Acoustic, and so Wells Acoustic. So I came back and then I raced, and then Alto, and now Tony. Oh, I raced one race for Sun. It's a pool team guy in New York. And when I left Alto on 17, so he said, "Do you want to race for us?" Sun Pool. Yeah, he was from New York. He said, "You wanna race for us at the Grands? I'll pay your expenses." And I said, "All right, I'm on it."
Right? Yeah.
So he paid for actually in October. There was a national here in Florida in High Springs. So I raced High Springs and the Grands for them, and I won both. I can say,
Nice.
yeah. So
Have
yeah.
you raced any tracks in New York and New Jersey?
Yes, I don't remember the names. I did a national in New Jersey, and New York. I raced Kingston.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Jersey National, was that like in the early 80s maybe, or?
No, I just recently.
Okay.
I raced. What his name now? Jesus. We had a race with Jeremy Thompson and him.
Sean
Dupree, yeah. So Dupree, we raced there. He won. I won one day. No, actually, I won both days. It was in. Connecticut that he won one day and I won the other day.
Okay.
Actually, it was 3 days nationals. I won first day, he won the second, and he didn't race third day. So I won 2 out of 3.
That's what who's up there in Connecticut? Matt Dallas, I think his name is.
No, he went up to our class. I think 2 years ago.
Okay.
Or so. So actually, when I was going up to 51 and 55 on that year, and I raced they stayed in 4650. So I thought that I had to race 4650 for the rock, and actually I could have raced my own class, would have been 55, 51 and over. And so I had to race him because he was coming up as 46. So I got a good gate, and he almost caught me on the last straight. I bobbled on the third straight, but I won that year too. So yeah, that was the only race that we raced each other. Yeah, and unfortunately, he's battling with the bad disease right now. Hopefully, he'll get well soon.
Well, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. It's not all that great right now.
Wow,
But he's praying for his best.
Yeah, that's sad to hear, man. I didn't know. I had no idea.
Yeah. I just saw the other day Facebook.
Okay. So have you raced Grands like every year since you came back?
Yes, 15 through today. Yeah, well, last year. So first year I got second. I wasn't running for anything. I only raced a couple nationals, and then 16, 17 I won. 16, 17, 18 I crashed. With the finish I could have been 5th. That I would have got the title, and I was in 4th, and I crashed. Somebody hit me from behind, and I crashed. So I got 8th and finished 4th. And then I won 19, 20, 21. And then last year was Chris Kennedy that got me on the race, the finals. So I finished number 2. So 5 number 2. No, 5 number 1, 1 number 2, 1 number 4. Yeah.
Shannon, you got some pretty big shoes to catch up to.
Jesus, man. I just know I'll never get that fast. I don't care how hard I try, bro. It's just those days are over, man.
You are
Like,
definitely
and you just can't catch up. Like, you
right.
just, for all that experience, it's just like impossible, man.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's great. I mean, I encourage you to do it. I mean, to get on but I mean, it's just like you said, it's the mind, it's experience and everything. I obviously, you know, I it's funny because Chris Kennedy won last year, which is it's great for him. It's good. I really that's what the whole competition is about. And but I have to learn from it. Just next year, this year will be different or maybe be the same, but I'll be in a different mindset and be ready to. So it's great. Every year is a different game.
Are you guys both going to Derby City and Rock Hill this year?
I'm doing both. I don't know about him. So
I'm definitely not going to Derby City. I'm not sure about Rock Hill. Yeah, I mean, the national level right now is not for me. We have a pretty hectic state series. We start in October and we race all the way till May, once a month. And that's where I feel like I need to concentrate right now and just try to get competitive there.
Right.
I won the state title 2 years ago as a novice. This past year as an intermediate, I got number 6. So I'll see if I can improve on that this year.
Nice.
So, Renato, have you ever had any serious injuries that you had to deal with?
Yes, I had a knee surgery. My first year as a pro, I was my first race or my first couple months before we had to win money to turn AA pro. So I was $500 short to turn AA, and I was racing Anthony Freeman. We were the most fast A pros back then on that year. And first jump in, I think it was Texas somewhere. So he jumped in from outside. I was in 5 and he was in 7 leading. So he jumped in. So he got my front wheel. And I don't know if it was lucky or not, but we were still in flats. So I took my foot out. And then when I put it on the ground, just turned the other way. So that was a knee surgery right there. So I think that was my main injury was right there. Yeah. So I had a knee surgery on that year. Not that year, actually. I tried to save it, and then it wouldn't go back to normal. So I definitely had a knee surgery on the year after, 96. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, then.
Oh, the funny thing was I was in Diamondback back then, and they want me as a AA pro, and I was not taking my time, but I was racing and I tried to earn my money, and it was a race in North California. I forgot the name of this town now, but I won A pro on Saturday. But I still thought I was short to turn AA. And I went to check the motor sheet, and then my name wasn't there. And I went and say, "Hey, my name is not there." And I said, "Welcome to AA Pro." So,
wow.
You're right.
Yeah, AA Pro. So, yeah.
So they had you on the AA Pro moto. Did you race that day or?
Yes, I did. That first moto, I was in 3rd place, and I forgot who was in 2nd. Gary Ellis was winning. So I went on the second turn a little bit low before it was sand, not even dirt, it was sand. And I got a little bit off control because I didn't want to hit the guy. So I went just low and my front wheel washed out. And I crashed, and Greg Reynolds crashed behind me. And so I was on the ground, I was in pain, but it was like, man, what I'm doing, just like I could have got at least 2nd or 3rd. So, and he was like screaming, use the berm. And the guy just took him out of the top of me and just like, okay, here we go, rookie. And so that was my lesson there as a double A. And so I learned. I mean, okay, I have to use the berm. You feel good. So I don't think I made the main that day, but I raced well that weekend. Yeah.
Can you hear what's going on during the race? Can you hear the announcers? Can you hear the crowd? Can you hear other riders saying things?
Yes. That announcer sometimes is on your favorite. So my first year back, I was racing 46 and over. So Todd Perry was behind me. I was behind actually. So I'm not going to tell the whole story, but Todd Perry was in gate 2. I was in 3. So he spun out of the gate. So I moved over. I took his line away. And I was more worried about him than the other guys. But O'Gorman and Sweet was ahead of me. So I was in 3rd. O'Gorman crashed, and I was behind Sweet. So high-low Sweet, Eric Sweets, and passing for first and going the back stretch in Phoenix. So the announcer said, "Oh, here comes Todd Perry on the inside of Renato." I said, "Not inside." But it was like he was telling me he was right there. Right. I said, "No, he's not." I just like moving over. So, and then I won that race. He was so mad, and I said, "Sorry, I was racing. I didn't even see you there."
I tell people that all the time. I said, if you can hear the announcer, and if they're a good announcer, I mean, they let you know everything that's going on in the track. You know, especially if you're in the mix. You know.
Yeah. I do. Not that I'm paying attention, but you know, sometimes can give you a little lead. What's going on?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
bro, these stories are absolutely amazing, man. You know, and what's more amazing is the fact that you remember all this stuff. Like, I don't even remember what happened Friday night, the last Friday that I raced. I couldn't tell you play by play what happened. You know, I kind of just do my thing, and I just, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, there are some races that goes into your mind. I remember, I think it was his first year, Bubba Harris in AA Pro, and he was obviously fast already. And it was a race in Maryland or somewhere back east. And there was a tricky track. And I saw his shadow and it was trying to come inside. I said, not inside. I just heard the brake. I said, all right, you're behind me.
So what kind of hubs do you run? The Onyx hubs?
No, I Remix.
Okay, so it has a sound. They're not silent.
Oh no, yeah, a little bit, not too bad.
And can you hear other people's hubs when they're coming up on you or on the side of you? Can you?
Sometimes you can. Yeah, sometimes. Okay. Or you know, actually on this weekend or the weekend after, before I raced Gold Cup in West Palm Beach, I raced 36 and over guys because on Saturday they didn't have a class for those guys, so they put them with us. So this guy, I was leading, and then on the back 3rd straight, I could feel it, but I didn't know that he was coming inside. But I said, okay, I better just close in a little bit more. And then again, I heard the brake. And then on the finish line, he said, oh my God, I almost hit you there. And I said, okay, sorry.
I didn't know, yeah.
Yeah. And then the guy didn't race the rest of the race because it was qualifying 1, and he didn't go for the second round. So I said, thank you.
Nice.
Somebody told me a rule last night. I think it's a UCI rule. If you touch the white line, you're disqualified. That's it. Race is over.
Yeah, at the UCI races, yeah. Unfortunately, I mean it's that tight. Yeah.
Does that mean so? Would you? I mean, normally people try to ride the line, or you know, I know I do. Some people try to ride the line. Would you like ride a little more away from the line, just you know, to make sure you don't hit it, or would you just ride it the same you normally do?
No, I ride the same as I do at middle of the track. You know, obviously you're getting closer to the turn. You know, you want to protect that inside, and so but you don't need to ride at the line because it's everything about angle. You know, you go in the turn, you're going to this down the straight, and if you stay too close to the line, you losing time because you have to move there. So just go straight and then you move over an angle. So that's how it is.
Well, heck, we had a guy at Okahili in our class a couple of years ago. He didn't ride the line. He just went through the grass, past 2 or 3 of us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can't do that, man.
He's not supposed to, but he got by with it somehow. But
Oh, really?
yeah,
Wow.
he did. Yeah. And the funny, one of the guys that was in our class actually even had on GoPro.
So he was able to see it. Yeah. Wow.
And the official said, well, I can't tell somebody pushed him off. Well, there wasn't anybody there near to push him off, but it happened. That's racing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just heard it was as long as you don't gain a position in the race, you know, like if you come back in and you're in the same position, I guess that's okay. You know, even if you miss an obstacle, but if you gain a position, then that's the problem. But, you know.
Yeah, but, you know, I'm talking about that at the Grands 2 years ago, I think. I was leading. I had a terrible gait. So I was in second. Before the first jump, I already passed the guy. But I knew that was a bad gait. I said, oh, my God, how am I going to do through the race? But I still was winning. And going to the third straight, it was a rhythm. So in practice, I was manually down on the first set. And and it was kind of hard because the track was a little bit soft. And by the time I raced, it was already packed. So I went in the same body position and the thing went faster. So it took out of me a little bit to handle. I said, oh my God, I'm going down. Said, no, I'm not going to go down. I just followed the bike. The bike took me out of the track. So I went off and used the second straight as a bank and came back to the track. The guy, I missed one obstacle, one roller, and came back in second. The guy passed me. I forgot his name now, but he passed me. So I finished in second. I qualified. And sure enough, the guy that was behind me complained. So he said that I don't know if I missed an obstacle or got in his way or something. So they called me on the microphone and said, you have to run second round. I said, all right. So that was all I needed, because with that, I got the gait better. I learned the gait a little bit more. So from there, I took off and I won that year.
Nice.
That was the year that O'Gorman touched me on the last turn. And, it was, I think we both were battling for the title. And I felt him and I just pedaled out. So he wasn't able to blast me. So just like touched me and said, he didn't have enough. He would have gone down. So, but he let it go. And then I won.
So was that with the older gate or the new paddle
Older
style
gate.
gate? That's what I thought. Because that paddle style gate only came in just this last Grands, correct?
Grands, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like that style gate?
I like it. Yeah, I like it. I just need to get a little bit more on it, but I like it. Yeah.
I should have liked it, but some reason I struggle with it. I usually like a gate that drops fast, and it did that. But I guess it just looked different to my eyes or something. I never seemed to got a very good gate. But I'm looking forward to it this year if they have that, and if I do go.
Well, if you're ever in North Carolina, they have that same gate at Raleigh now. They just installed it. I think it might have been just today, yeah. But they have the paddle gate, so I heard a lot of people that are going to Grands will go over there.
Yeah, I think, for the Grands being the main event, they should have in every track now. I mean, should it be mandatory? It doesn't matter what. I mean, it's hard already to race every time different tracks. But the gate, at least the gate should have been the same for every track, because let's say we're going to Louisville. Louisville gate is kind of late. It takes forever to go down. You have to know what time you're going. You practice in your track, you're going one way. Even here for us at Tampa, it's just like the gate is like a ghost. It's gone. Yep. So we have to really be on top of it.
I love Tampa.
So yeah, and it's all different. I mean, every track goes different. I don't mind the track being different, but the gate, it's the main thing. It just for everybody should have been the same.
I agree.
Hopefully, with all the talking that the post that Tony put in there about the things and how they need to change this and need to change that. The Europe tracks are way tougher than here, but we're probably not. They don't have the same amount of riders that we have here at the Nationals, or they change the days for the novice or the intermediates and then the all expert in one day, because you can't do 300, 400 models in a tough track in the same day for everybody. It's hard. I mean, I don't mind racing a tough track or everything, but you need the time into those tracks, and obviously, it's not. It doesn't run any fast. So, but the gauge should have been the same for every track, especially like I said, now that in a couple of tracks already getting, and it is at the Grants gate. So I think for USABMX could have done something for the tracks, like, hey, here, put this on your track, give something, and it's just like, I'm not gonna say they're taking, but they should have given something. A gate would have been nice for every track that is USABMX. Should have one of those gates.
Yeah. I think the problem there is going to be with ProGate. I think they're tied in with UCI. That's going to make it tricky if they try to start going to this other gate with that relationship.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't know.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's it, man. We've been talking for a while, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by, man.
Keep going all night long.
And we could. I know
right?
I could, man.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
Jeez,
But
you
we
guys,
don't
this is so
we
much
don't want
information.
viewers listening to us to sleep. They're not going to go to sleep listening to this guy's stories.
Not at all.
But no, we really appreciate you having us on here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you for being on here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Guys,
All
thanks
right.
for your
Well,
time, man.
I guess we're
Appreciate
good.
it.
Yeah. You guys have a great night.
Yes.
All right, y'all take care.
You
You
too.
too.
God bless.